Neither rain nor snow nor earthquake presumably can halt the faithful delivery of the mail, but Congress can. The Postal Service was on the defensive today, big time, against claims that a new contract with its workers does not cut enough spending. And Representative Darrell Issa, of course, is the chairman of the committee that oversees the Postal Service and just about everything else, and joins us. Chairman, nice to see you. Thanks so much. Why are you not happy with the savings that they have negotiated? More than $3 billion, almost $4 billion, correct? In savings in their new contract. Why isn't that good enough?
Well, Andrea, that's over several years of the contract, but we are happy. We are happy that there's been a realization that the combination of pay freeze and some other changes were a good thing. For the first time ever, these postal workers that you see, this contract is the ones you see behind the counter, there will be a little bit of flexibility where they could work 30 hours one week and 48 the next, potentially. And that's a good thing. That's what the private sector sees, is that you can't be exactly the same hours every day forever in a service-oriented economy. So we applaud that. What we're concerned about, and I think concerned deeply about, is that the pathway toward continued viability has not been called out in this. For example, all the panelists agreed there's about 170,000 more postal workers at the post office than will need to be with the level of service anticipated. And there's no clear pathway to trimming that down. One of the problems is postal workers stay on. They're very low attrition. So although we applaud many of the steps that were made, what we didn't see was a plan that gets to where there are not excess people in the post office, and we can begin making investments in efficiency so that the post office can be viable for years to come. But I've got to tell you, we understand that the postal workers themselves have done a great deal, and we would just like to see more management recognition that you've got to get the number right-sized in government the way it is in the private sector.
Well, the Postal Service actually is partly private. It's this hybrid. And how do you make that work in terms of downsizing it to the extent that you think is tolerable while people still want the service? For instance, is Saturday delivery now going to be a thing of the past? Where do we stand on that?
Well, I think the post office has already made the decision. They're going from 6 to 5. It's in their projection. It's in all of their activities. They've actually moved temporary and, if you will, workers that don't have to keep their jobs into those 6-day decisions. One of the questions that came up from both sides of the aisle was, okay, what happens if you stop? And one of the things that was said by the Postmaster General and others is, look, UPS and FedEx don't deliver Saturday. This is not an area of great competition. We believe we can, in fact, make that adjustment. Now, the American people would like to keep the service, but American people want to keep a 47-cent first-class postage. They want to keep delivery to their door. So I believe that there's a responsible debate going on, and it's less about the 6 versus 5 than it is about maintaining delivery to your door for all Americans at an affordable rate, and at the same time keeping an obligation to the ever more retirees of the post office that need to be paid for out of current revenues.
What's next on your agenda? You've already had hearings on Fannie and Freddie, freedom of information. You've had a host of hearings, but where do you go next in terms of your investigative focus?
Well, you know, we actually have on the question of job creation, or AmericanJobCreators.com's work, we have 7 hearings just in this next week, either field hearings or hearings here on the Hill, because what we know is that government is part of the problem of jobs not being created, and we want to make sure we're part of the solution. And that's something where we're using the entire committee, because more than any other committee of the Congress, we have oversight over whether or not government is the problem, whether it's rules that are not being adhered to or rules that are being made up along the way. So that's a big part of what the committee is going to do. But we're not done with the post office. Clearly today there was calls for legislation on both sides of the aisle in order to help the postmaster do his job better. He says he needs congressional authority to do certain things he wants to do, including how money gets paid into retirement. So we've got plenty to do, and with 7 subcommittees and 7 good subcommittee chairmen, I expect that we're going to be very busy in the months to come.